internet, my name is Lave and I watched The Lion King, which is directed by Jon Favreau, who also directed The Jungle Book in Disney's slew of live action remakes, or what we're now starting to call Disney's photoreal remakes. And so we go back to Pride Rock, where we meet Simba, a lion cub prince destined to inherit his father's kingdom, but his evil uncle Scar has other plans, forcing Simba to run away from his responsibilities, only to learn some valuable life lessons before returning to claim his birthright. So yeah, it's The Lion King remake. Now admittedly, it's been a long time since I've seen the 1994 animation, and from what I can remember, aside from a few negligent tweaks and little additions here and there, it's basically a shot-for-shot remake, which I know this film is getting a lot of heat for, but then, you know, if you change too much of it, then people will moan that it's too different. If you don't change enough of it, then people will moan that it's too similar. Like, here's my take on it. I mean, basically the whole thing is just a reimagining of Hamlet, which itself has been retold again and again. And yes, the original animation is a classic, but does that mean that you wouldn't go and see the theatre production of The Lion King, which I've been told by pretty much everyone that I know who've seen the theatre production, they say it's amazing. They absolutely adore it. It's basically the same story, but in a different format. And that's what this film is selling, the same story in a different format. And that format is some of the most convincing, realistic computer-generated imagery I've ever seen. The animals are so real and tangible, you just want to reach out, touch them and stroke them. The environments likewise are astonishing. You can feel the warmth of the sun on every blade of grass. I did go into this knowing that they were capable of this thanks to The Jungle Book, so I did have a hypercritical eye. But the very first scene, I did think, maybe that wasn't as realistic. It's in the infamous "Wah Mamma Mia" scene when the sun comes up above the horizon. I just thought the sun rose a little bit too quickly, to the point when I got home and I actually had to Google, does the sun rise quicker in Africa? Because I thought it's nearer the equator, so it might be the case. But all of the footage that I could find has the sun rising in sped up footage. And I thought maybe they were trying to replicate the time-lapse effect, but I don't think that's the case because the clouds aren't moving in this particular shot. And I just thought, for a film that's going for realistic, that wasn't very realistic. But really, that's just a small nitpick. I do think there is a bigger problem which other critics have picked up on, and I do agree with, and that's the amount the animals can express emotion. Don't get me wrong, this is the cream of the crop when it comes to modelling and rendering, and for all intents and purposes, they look like real animals talking and singing. But I do wonder if during production, if they ever had the conversation about what their ultimate goal was. Was it going for absolute realism, or could they use a bit of creative license to maybe caricature their characters in any way? And I think they were just like, no, we're going for realism, maybe to the detriment of the film. For example, if you take a look at Baloo from the 2016 Jungle Book, they slightly exaggerated the facial contortions of the Himalayan bear to make him frown or smile just a little bit to humanise him. Compare that to Andy Serkis's Baloo from Mowgli, which is modelled on a different bear, to be fair, but you could argue that they've tried to anthropomorphise that character too much by making his face look too human. Whereas in this, all of the animals look like their real counterparts, and it looks like their faces are constrained by the actual biology and physics of the real animals, so they can't smile or frown the way that we do, for example. And maybe they could have cheated a little bit. Maybe they could have like just exaggerated certain aspects to make them smile just a bit. But then, you know, it could have been way worse. Before the film started, they showed the trailer for Cats, and oh my god, that film looks terrifying, like proper nightmare inducing stuff. The voice cast I thought were good. Obviously James Earl Jones is back and he sounds older, more world weary than the last time he did it. I thought Donald Glover was a good choice for adult Simba. My only question mark was Chiwetel Ejiofor as Scar. Now, he's not the pantomime villain that Jeremy Irons' version of the character was, but then he also doesn't have that villainous edge to him, so it's really just a preference, and for me, my preference is Jeremy Irons. Other than that though, the voice casts were good fits, like not better nor worse than the original, just good fits for their characters, like Billy on the Street and Seth Rogen as Timon and Pumbaa. I even quite liked John Oliver as Zazu. At the time I thought, why replace Rowan Atkinson? But it turns out John Oliver was a good Zazu. Like I said at the top of this video, it's been a long time since I've seen the original animation, but I did notice some differences. Like there's a new hyena character, like a female hyena leading the pack of hyenas. I don't remember that character in the first one, but correct me if I'm wrong. Nala also has an extended sequence. We get to see her escape from Pride Rock to go out and find help. She almost has like a ninja sequence. She doesn't go around karate chopping or anything like that, but she goes a bit stealth to escape. There's also, I think, a better explanation as to why the hyenas don't go out looking for Simba. I thought that explanation was dealt with a little bit better, and also a sequence with Simba's hair, or a bit of his mane gets kind of flung off him and it goes off into this like montage thing. I think that bit was new, but yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. But other than that, it's pretty much like for like. Admittedly, I didn't find this one as much of a tearjerker compared to the original, but when I saw the original, I must have been like 11 or 12 years old, and I didn't know the story back then. I'm 30 something years old now, and I did know the story, so maybe I should consider that as well. Still, I thought it was alright. So that's my thoughts on The Lion King, and pause the video if you want to take a closer look at my enjoyment tracker now. At the end of the day, this film's sales pitch was live action or photoreal remake of The Lion King, and that's what it feels like it's delivered. Is it better than the original? No, I don't think it is. I tell you one thing though, it's better than Dumbo. So let me know what you thought of The Lion King down in the comments. And as always, thanks very much for watching this video. If you can, give it a like and don't forget to share the lave. Remember to share the lave. Subscribe